Are you a first-time home buyer and you feel overwhelmed by what to do to buy your first home? This video is just for you. Hey, welcome back to the Living in Vancouver and Camas, Washington YouTube channel. I'm your host, Hannah Dubyne, and I'm so excited that you're here today. All you first-time home buyers, this video is for you. Today, we're making a guide about what to do when you're a first-time home buyer. If you're a first-time home buyer, there are a lot of resources out there on the internet for you, but a lot of them are very general, or you might run into some that are area specific for an area that you're not looking in. One thing about real estate is it's so specific to whatever area you're gonna go. So I'm here in Vancouver, Camas, and Clark County, Washington. Clark County is our area of specialty, so that is the guide that we're making today. By the way, if you're thinking about moving here, you should sign up for our weekend happenings email. It's super awesome. We send out the best 3 to 5 local events happening every weekend to your inbox, and we post other cool stuff on Instagram, so connect with us there. Okay, so my very first step, it might sound silly, is to reach out to someone who's an expert. I have a CPA, I have an attorney, I have a bookkeeper, and I have all of those people because they do what they do much better and much quicker than me if I was to do it myself. Of course, I could do it myself if I wanted to. It would just take a really long time and I probably wouldn't do as good of a job. I cannot recommend this enough with a realtor. A good realtor, like myself, not trying to plug myself, but just being honest, knows everything about the specialty area that they serve. So you want to connect with someone who's an expert there, and they are going to be able to give you the specific steps for whatever area you're looking in, because real estate is so area specific. This is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of headache, and it's going to help mitigate misunderstandings, because if you take advice that's online and is general, let's say it's a blog that Rocket Mortgage wrote, it could very well not apply to wherever you want to buy. A good realtor is going to act as your partner in the transaction. You know, they're not going to pressure you to buy just so that they can get paid. That's ridiculous. That's not something that we do. We want our clients to find the best place possible, whether it's in a month, a year, or 10 years, we don't care. Reach out to the expert in your area. After that, you're going to want to save and try to increase your income. A lot of buyers are, good in one area or the other, but they're not super great in both. That's okay. It's still possible to buy a home. Just know that the more money you save in the bank, the better off you're going to be. And the more money you can make on your salary, the better off you're going to be. And you're going to be approved to buy more home. You're also probably wondering, how am I even going to know how much house I can afford? You might have a number in your head that feels good, maybe 500,000 because it's right on the dot, but you don't know if you can afford it. Well, you're going to want to connect with a trusted lender. After you connect with your realtor should have one or at least a few different local lender options that you can connect with. I would very, very highly recommend you work with one of those people for a couple reasons. One, that realtor and lender partnership is probably very strong and they work with each other all the time, so it'll be smooth as butter. Two, a local lender is strongly preferred on an offer. So during the last couple years when the market was very competitive, sometimes the difference came down to who the lender was. This might be difficult for you to understand as a first-time home buyer. You're saying, well, Chase is gonna give me a loan, or Cardinal Financial locally is gonna give me a loan. What's the difference? A lot of times the big national banks and the online loan systems like Rocket Mortgage, Quicken Loans, etc., they drop the ball, or they don't understand the specifics that go into the real estate process in our area, because maybe they're in a different time zone and real estate is done differently all over the country. Anytime I've had a loan go wrong, it's been with one of the big banks. It hasn't been with the local person, because the local person has accountability to me. If they stop doing a good job, then I will stop referring them business. And me referring business to those local lenders, there's no kickback for us as realtors, just so you know. There's no ulterior motive. We just want the best for you. So we'd recommend connecting with them. Another thing to know, a question I get a lot is, Hannah, I have this pre-approval. It says it's good for 90 days at the bottom. So we're good to go. We're fully approved for $700,000, right? Well, the loan amount actually changes daily based off of the interest rates. So the pre-approval is like a guide from the beginning, right? You don't always want to be shopping right at the tippy top, because what if the interest rate goes up 0.1% that day? Then you actually have less budget. You usually cannot lock your interest rate until you have a home identified, until you have an offer accepted. There are some programs out there that allow you to lock and then shop, but I don't always recommend them. So just keep in mind that your interest rate is going to fluctuate until you actually lock that interest rate and you have a house identified. After that, you're going to want to start looking and browsing around online just to see what homes are like in the area, what are prices like, what sells quickly, what stays on the market a while. If you're like most people, you're probably already doing this at this point. You're living on Zillow, you're living on Redfin, but just take some time to look at the new listings in your preferred area every day and see what comes on the market. It's not quite time for showings yet, but if you want to go to open houses during this discovery process, this is a great time to go to open houses. Just make sure you get some business cards from your realtor, if that's me, get some business cards for me, and give those to the agent that's holding the open house. After that, what we do with our new buyer clients is we do a strategy session. The strategy session is extremely important because it gets us on the same page. A lot of realtors, either by habit or because they are not confident in their skills and their abilities, they meet someone who wants to buy a home and then they just say, okay, what do you want? They talk about it for 10 minutes and they go off to the races. But there's a lot of things that weren't discussed about there. So when I work with my clients, we're working in a professional relationship. I want to sit down and hear about your wants and needs for a prolonged period of time. And I want to go through and I want to show you what's available, and I want to make sure that your expectations are realistic. And if they're not, I'm going to tell you why they're not. I'm going to show you why they're not. And I want you to know how my business works and how real estate in Clark County works, because it might be different than, somewhere you've lived in the past. We do strategy sessions in person and via Zoom, and we will definitely be doing this before we start working together if you work with us as a buyer client. After that comes the fun part. It's finally time to look at homes. Looking at homes is so exciting. We absolutely love that part. It's like HGTV in real life. I am at most of the showings for my clients, on the chance that I'm not there. I've got partner agents available and they're absolutely as wonderful as me. And we'll go around. I want to get your feedback on homes, why you like them, why you don't like them. Some people are apologetic when they don't like a home and they are like, Hannah, we're wasting your time. No, you're not. That's part of the process. You have to go through finding homes you don't like in order to get closer to the ones you like. I will make suggestions along the way of, maybe what may or may not be a good fit for you going forward. After we find the one, we're gonna make an offer. We'll talk all about the logistics of the offer during the strategy session, but it's basically this standard paperwork that we have in the state of Washington, and we fill in the blanks. So we change the important terms, but how the real estate process is done does not usually change substantially from home to home. So we're going to send that over. As long as your offer is accepted, then we'll be in escrow, and it's a very exciting time. It's when you put your earnest money deposit down, it's when you do your inspection, and it's when you get your loan and your homeowner's insurance rolling. So it's a whole bunch of stuff at once. It's usually very heavy in the first week and then very heavy in the last week of the purchase. And here in Clark County, a typical closing time frame, like the most common one is 30 days, but anything between about 21 days and 45 days is very normal here. A couple notes about the inspection. If you're a first-time homebuyer, you've probably never seen an inspection report before, and it's gonna come back and it's gonna be long. It's gonna be at least 20 pages, even if there's really nothing wrong with the home. Don't fret. There are always little things that need to be done in a home. It doesn't matter if it's new construction or it's a 20 or 30-year-old home. There are always things that come up in the inspection report. The inspector is actually obligated by their state license to disclose them. So I can sit with you and walk you through what is worth asking, what is not. We try to avoid asking for things like, we call it the honey-do list, right? It's things that always need to be done as a homeowner. We don't want to ask for recalking the cracked caulk on the sides and fixing that one nail that's popping out and repainting that one tiny spot where someone took a picture off the wall. We don't want you to pass up on the home or to lose the opportunity to purchase that perfect home because of those little things. They really are going to be in every home. Then we get to the exciting part, which is getting your keys. Yay, we love that. The way closing works in Washington is actually interesting. You can sign with a mobile notary even if you're not here in Washington state, and we don't do table signings. So I know there are places like more in the Midwest and the East Coast where the buyer, the seller, the two agents, and maybe attorneys all sit at a table together and they pass the stuff around and they all sign the same thing. That's weird. That's old school. That's awkward. We don't do that here. And we sign our own things separately. So when you go in, if you're here locally in Clark County and you go into the escrow company and sign, it will just be you and the escrow officer signing, not the seller too. You are going to get occupancy to your home whenever it's agreed upon in the purchase and sale agreement. Sometimes this is after closing if you gave a rent back, but most of the time it's on the closing day. By default, it's 9 p.m., which is super late. I mean, no one's gonna move at 9 p.m., so probably gonna move in a couple days after that. I try whenever possible to write 4 p.m. on our closing contract. So then you're gonna be entitled to keys by 4 p.m. That way you can actually see your home that day. So that's really all the tips I have for you today. This is really my high-level first-time buyer guide. I do have more resources if you email me at hannah@dubynerealtygroup.com. And we've got more stuff on our Instagram and our website as well. If you're thinking about moving to the area, whether you're a first-time home buyer or not, we would love to serve you here at Dubyne Realty Group. Text us, email us, DM us on Instagram, and we look forward to hearing from you. Bye.